Today I'm going to share with you a simple model that's going to make programming and understanding how to adjust your workouts a hell of a lot easier for you to get the results you want with minimal time. Now, this model is inspired in the photography world. We have something called the exposure triangle, where you have three variables in the composition of how your camera is taking in light. You've got aperture, you've got ISO, or the light sensitivity, and of course you have your shutter speed. Now, in exercise, we're not dealing with light so much, but we are dealing with tension. Fundamentally, that's what all exercise is just simply creating muscle tension in the application that is prudent towards your objective. So we have the tension triangle, if you will. And the base of it is probably the easiest part to understand. On one end of that base, we have tension, the amount of tension in the muscle that you're generating. So the harder your muscle is contracting, the more tension you have. And on the other end, you have time, or endurance in some circles, right? And basically, where you are on this dictates the balance between the two. You can go to one end and you have a lot of tension in the muscle, but you can't hold it for a very long period of time. And you go to the other end and you can go for a pretty good long period of time, high reps, or do an exercise for a long period of time, but you can't have a whole lot of tension in the muscle, and you're basically creating a balance between whether or not you want more strength or more endurance in your training. Now, the third variable is rest time in between your physical activity. So that right here, this is what I like to call stamina. A little bit different than endurance or just simply time. And this would refer to kind of the spaces between your sets, between your repetitions, how much your muscles are being exposed or called on to produce a given amount of tension relative to the amount of time it doesn't need to produce that amount of tension. So this triangle essentially are the three variables that you can have for your workouts depending on your objectives. So for example, if you're like, well, I want to primarily build up muscle, then okay, then you're probably going to be in this range of the triangle where you're going with some relatively heavy weight, relatively low levels of resistance, higher, you're kind of modifying the rep range, going as high as maybe 20 or 25 reps, as low as 5 or 6, back and forth. But you don't want to be rushing your workouts so much that you are compromising your ability to work the muscle work capacity because you're out of breath, your conditioning is off, your technique is getting sloppy. Think of like really sloppy circuits where you're just racing through it would be up higher on the triangle here, and therefore compromising your ability to have much tension or the ability to do anything with tension for a good amount of time. Or you could be in an athletic realm where you need a good amount of strength or tension, but you also need to be able to have that type of stamina to produce it on call. Think of like linebackers, NFL kind of football sort of thing, where you need a lot of power, but you also need stamina. So you would probably work in this range of the triangle where you're still working with a good amount of tension, but the rest periods and the ability to call on it with minimal recovery may be something you're playing with. And then over on this side would be maybe athletic endeavors like me and my mountain bike racing. I need some degree of strength, but it's much more about, can I keep the power through my legs for long periods of time, hours at a time, but also at the same time, if I climb up a hill, I need to be ready to go on a moment's notice. I can't take 20 minutes to recover, so I'm working in this part of the triangle. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of clarity as to how you're making your workouts work, whether you're emphasizing more tension, more time for the tension, more stamina that you're requiring for it, and being more aware of what kind of workout programs are pulling you in the wrong direction. Because if you came to me and you're like, I want to be as strong as a power lifter, but I've got you doing fast circuits with relatively high repetitions, it's pulling you more in this direction and away from your target objective. So maybe draft this up on like a whiteboard, print it up in like a graphic design like Photoshop or something, put it up in your gym, and just kind of refer to it every once in a while, asking yourself, okay, with what I'm doing, is it more towards stamina, more towards a time emphasis, more towards a tension emphasis, and is that really what you should be working on for your goals? Let me know if you have questions down below. Thank you very much for watching. Be fit, live free.